Welcome, everybody. Welcome. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sarah Malave Murphy, coming to you out of Jersey. I'm a part of your team support here, along with Adrian and some of our other team members that are in the chat. So we just want to take a moment to welcome you all to your normal Thursday 2 p.m. Learning Tube. This is where we all get together and learn something new, and one of our consultants or a special guest might come on and share the wealth of their knowledge, their experience, and give you all some hope and give you something that you can use to implement and monetize, right? Just some quick housekeeping. First of all, if you came and you didn't invite somebody, now you already know. Take a moment and invite another consultant that you believe should be here. Invite a friend. Make sure that you are not here alone getting all this good stuff, because you know they're going to be coming to you later asking you questions about what was that about? What was y'all doing? We got a lot of consultants out there. We got a lot of cousins, like we like to call them, that often, are maybe late, tardy to the party. And we get it. Life be lifing. Life shows up, and we just want to make sure that everybody has access to this amazing information. So you are on the Thursday at 2 p.m. Learning Tube, and what's taking place here. Now, before I go further, I do want to let you know that this is the last Learning Tube for the year, right? 2025 is like gone with the wind. So this is going to be your last Learning Tube for the year, but don't listen, don't sleep. We'll be back the second Thursday of January. We will come back. That's going to be January 8th. Okay, so mark your calendars. January 8th, we'll be on for another Learning Tube. Now, today we have a very special guest, and she is a consultant, an AI certified consultant. She's going to be talking about the 72-hour AI implementation gap and why change readiness matters more than your tech stack. Now, a lot of us spend a lot of money on these tech stacks, and a lot of us don't even know why we do it. We just know that's the latest and greatest tool, so we got to get it in. But without further ado, we definitely want to give some love to our cousin, Ms. Shantelle Coleman. She is an AI certified consultant, and she's here with an open heart and ready to rock and roll and give y'all all some information that you're definitely going to want to have a pen and paper for. So give her some love. Ms. Shantelle, thank you so much for coming on, and I'm going to turn it over to you. And if there's anything you need, you know we're here for you, okay?
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Sarah. What a wonderful, rousing introduction. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. It is a thankful Thursday. I want to thank you so much for tuning into the Learning Tube today, as Sarah mentioned, and I'm honored to be here. I'm Shantelle Coleman. I'm the founder of Clarity Works. And for those of you who are here at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, that really says a lot. It says that you value learning. So I just want to thank you for taking time out to invest in yourselves, right? Kudos to you. So tell me real quickly, where are you all calling in from today? Just drop it in the chat if you can. If you're not driving, let me see where you're calling in from the chat today. New York. Okay. Miami, DMV, Pennsylvania, Maryland. All right, Maryland. I'm from the DMV area as well. I'm calling in from Maryland. If you guys don't know that vernacular, is District, Maryland, and Virginia. We just claim all three because we're sort of close together. All right. Barbados, Michigan, Colorado. Wonderful. All right. All across the board. That is very exciting. I am excited. So before we dive into the topic, I am going to share my screen here. All right. Let me know if you guys can see the screen. Your thumbs up for anybody. All right, perfect. That means we're rolling. So, all right. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about myself and why I'm passionate about this topic, as Sarah mentioned, and why we need to make it clear, make it scale, right, and make it last. Because that's all we want to do. We want to have a lasting impression. So just a little bit about me. I spent over 18 years working with IT program as an IT program manager and a director in the federal government, specifically at ICE, so Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. If some of you guys know those acronyms, I'm trying not to do a lot of acronyms. And DHS, I see yes, right? The Department of Homeland Security, managing kind of like multi-million-dollar technology implementations, right? Or we would call them modernizations. So I've led teams of over 40 plus through some really pretty intense, stressful times, if you will. And I'm just going to pause here because I want to ask, are there any federal workers here in the room with us today? I just want to shout you out for the incredible work that you all do as federal servants. Retired, I love that. 18 years with me. All right. Yes, wonderful. Whether you were former or retiring, again, I have to pause and give you, I know the work that we do as federal servants. So thank you for your service. But here's what I learned very quickly, right, in the government. Technology is the easy part. The hard part is getting people across multiple agencies, right? Executive sponsors, you have end users, you have your tech teams, all aligned and moving in the same direction. And I see that a lot of you guys that are former workers, you probably understand, right? It's a feat. So it can be challenging at times. And so I will say that I understood that, right? And I was up for the challenge as a communication professional. I understood the importance of communication, but I became an expert of stakeholder management. And there is a difference by necessity. Because in the federal government, if you cannot navigate bureaucracy and bring people all together, your project dies. It's just as simple as that, right? And then after that, right, I understood why I needed to get certified as a ProSci certified change manager. And for those of you who don't know, ProSci is really just a research-based change management methodology that's used all across the world by organization to sort of increase this adoption and ensure that change sticks. I really wanted to make sure that change sticks. So, and so I pursued this really, and I see we got some ProSci lovers in the room. Yes, AdCar, we're going to be talking about that in a few moments. But I pursued this because I just kept watching brilliant technology, believe it or not, sit unused. And every time, right, it's the same problem. We would spend months acquiring the tools and the tech. And who in here knows that acquisition in itself, it's a feat, right? And the process of acquiring tools, doing your alternative analysis. I know we probably have some former CEOs or anybody in the acquisition field, you know that's a feat in yourself. So once you get the tech and the tools, you need to go. You just need to go, right? But what the execs wouldn't account for, they would not allow enough time in the schedule to do the people work, right? So we're going to talk about that a lot today, the people work. So now I run a ClarityWorks, where my motto is leading with people, powering with AI. And we just simply help organizations bridge that gap between technology adoption and human adoptions. Because hear me out, right? If you get the people side wrong, the technology really doesn't matter. And we'll talk a lot about that. And it really would be such a shame during this time. And I'm really excited myself about the time that we're in. And I'm sure some of you all on the call because AI is incredible, right? I know you all have seen some of the tools you've done. Please get your hands in it if you haven't already. Somebody put a 1 in the chat if you agree that AI emerging on the team is an incredible ride, right? All right. I see Vondell talks about he heard about some upcoming items, right? Right. One's one right. So it is. It's an incredible time. So it would be a shame if we didn't know how to use that responsibly. And I know we've seen some of the tools that we've done. I'm going to share a quick personal story of my own. So I've always wanted my very own personal assistant for years, right? So my best, a good friend of mine, we would say all the time, how about we just share one? We just share the cost of a personal assistant to do my thing and your thing and our business thing. But guess what? In the life of AI, I can have my very own virtual assistant. It's created so many efficiencies for everybody in our business and personal lives. It's a great time to be in working with AI. However, and there's a however, if your team isn't ready for it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're a team at work or you coach teams or if you're a team of one. So if the tool doesn't matter how good the tool is, it will sit on the shelf. It is not ready. And yes, I agree, Alfie. Our AI is incredible. Okay, all right. You know who I am. Let's get to why you guys are really here. Please take out your phones. I know they're sitting right beside you. Just scan the QR code on this screen. I really want to hear from you. It only takes about 20 seconds. You can either go to menti.com and enter the code on the screen, or you can scan the QR code right there. And so here's my question. When it comes to AI adoption, and Sarah sort of alluded to it in the intro there, think about it, right? Think about your mom, your parents, even the people on your street in your neighborhood. What's the biggest barrier? What's the biggest barrier that you think you're seeing? if we are saying AI is incredible, right, and it can create these efficiencies, is it budget? Is it the technical skills? Are people just resistant to change, right? If you guys, has everybody had some time to vote? Let me see a one in the chat if you have some time, because I'm going to show the results here in real time. Everybody had time to cast their votes? Okay, I'm seeing some ones. Okay, let's see what folks say. A couple more folks. So if we look at the results here, let's see what everybody is saying. Okay, 43% might be a little small for you here, but 43% are saying that it's the people. Well, 42% now, somebody changed their mind, that is resistant to AI adoption, right? And so that's important. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, because if 42% of the people are seeing people as the barrier, why are we spending all of our time on technology? Where's the disconnect, right? That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. And let me be clear, right? And I know we have some AI consultants in the room. We have to know the tools, right? Our chat GPT prompts, our automation workflows, all of the content strategies, they are all wonderful. And you have to, as a consultant, you got to stay ahead of the game on that. But let's talk about where the disconnect is. So here is a statistic here that makes you go, right? I may be dating myself here, but anybody know Arsenio Hall, right? So he had a bit in his stand-up, and he would say things that make you go, I see some people remember him with me. Okay, I'm not the only one out here. But here's one of those stats that make me go, Here it is. Okay, 80%, that's a lot, of all AI projects fail. 80%, right? And the RAND Corporation, they did extensive research for that. Those of you might not know, it's the premier gold standard nonprofit research organization. They're independent, so they're known for their rigorous reach, right? So they said that all AI projects fail. Why? Not because the technology doesn't work. It wasn't that. So why was it? It is because all organizations skip the change readiness part. That's the kicker. So we have organizations and consultants who skip the change readiness in that critical window between decision and deployment. And I'll tell you, I saw this pattern over and over again in my federal career. I'm going to tell you about a little time that still haunts me to this day. So early on, I was working with a great team. Great team. We spent 18 months, it might be a little bit longer than that, but building a system, a new modernization. It was perfect, right? It had every feature the agency needed. After succeeding in purchasing those technology and licenses, and remember, we talked about it's a feat to do that in government, for 8 months, it sat completely unused. Completely unused. Why? Because there was not enough time for change management. I'm going to be honest with you. It wasn't adequately planned. It was a little bit in the schedule, a little bit of training, but they assumed people would just figure it out. They focused 100% on what we were building and just a very small percent on who was using it. And the pattern is always the same. It doesn't matter, large corporation, small organization. That's what happens if you skip that critical gap. You rush from decision to deployment, and then you wonder why adoption fails, right? So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to show you what I mean here. There's this critical window, and I call it the 72-hour AI implementation gap, right? I see some people agree with me in the chat, right? So here you have a decision where senior leaders, the CEOs of a company, let's do it. I want to be efficient. I don't want to be behind the trend. Let's get out there and let's do it, right? But what happens in the middle when you're deploying it? And sometimes that 72-hour window, it can be a little less, but most organizations, I'll tell you what they do in the middle. There's a gap. They skip the change readiness part. And this is what happens. People don't understand why it matters. They don't map the workflows. They don't build sustainability plans. They just deploy. Or in some of our cases, we get tool after tool after tool, and we don't understand, right? And then it just doesn't get used. And that's what happened. So your teams aren't prepared. And there's some research from Ebbinghaus. He's a psychologist who studied memory. And this is what he said in that pink box there. He says that if without immediate reinforcement, right, people forget 70% of training in 24 hours. 70%. So let me step back and ask here, who here has had to take training It doesn't matter what location you're in before, occupation, training after training after training. I know we had to do a lot of training at DHS. Anybody else have to take a lot of training? Okay, it's not just me, right? So think about that. Training, training, training. Yes, yes, everybody's saying. So I'll admit it, right? 24 hours, I do the checkbox, and afterwards it's gone. So when we bring this back around, if you've got unprepared teams now, right? You have rapid skill decay because we aren't remembering, there's no reinforcement and no change management support. That's when your project will join that 80% failure rate. So what's the solution? There has to be a solution somewhere, right? And ADCAR, somebody mentioned it earlier. So there's a framework that assesses readiness before you deploy, right? It's called ADCAR. And again, where are my change management professionals in the room? Any ProSci certified or other change management certified folks there? Or if you're in project management and you've considered change management, that's a plus as well. All right. Any other change management? I know I can't be the only one. I saw some. Okay. You said I did it in another life. That's okay. That counts. ProSci certified. All right, Rebecca. Yay. I'm not here on my own. So you guys know it's not my model, right? It's developed by ProSci, as I mentioned before, and it's the foundation that I build on. So ADCAR simply says before you can adopt any change, including AI, you have to move through 5 stages. Okay. So what are the 5 stages? The first one here is awareness. Do people understand why it matters? Not the company is going digital, but here's what it means for your job. Then they have to have a desire. Do they want to use AI or are they being forced, right? Because forced adoption doesn't stick at all. It never works. Yes, this is the ACAR acronym, Von Down. Okay, so let's see what's next. Knowledge. Do they know how to use the tools in their specific area? There's some training done, but is it specific? Generic training just doesn't cut it. You have to know what it means in your role. Do you have the ability? Can they actually do it when it matters? And this is a tricky area here because, and I will tell you though, knowing and executing are 2 different things. So if you don't have the upgraded software or if you don't have the right model, if if you're in the free version, you're supposed to use the advanced version. If you don't know, you want me to do this fantabulous thing and you haven't told me and you haven't given me the ability to do it, it matters, right? So knowing and executing are 2 different things. And then the last one is here reinforcement. Is there ongoing support so that folks don't revert to their old ways, right? And that's the ADCAR way. Now, here's the key insight here for us, right? Most AI deployments focus only on the K and the A. So that's that training and ability I mentioned, right? They totally skip awareness, desire, and reinforcement. And that's why they fail. That's why the AI projects fail. People don't understand why it matters, and they definitely don't want to do it. So I'll tell you guys a quick story. Recently, I had my electrician come over to do some work at my home. So before I left, I said, "Hey, how do you use AI in your business?" Right? He's a pretty well-known electrician in the area, and he said, "Oh no, I don't want to deal with AI. I don't understand it. I don't know. The humans are going to be gone." And I said, "No, the humans aren't going anywhere. We need the humans." But let me ask you this. What's a pain point in your life? What don't you like doing in your job? So he began to tell me. Then I began to explain to him how AI can make his life more efficient. He was worried that he was going to get too big and people are going to use AI. And I'm like, you can use this for your personal life. So that, right, he had to understand why it mattered to him and why, he should take a chance on doing it. So that's just a quick little story, really, really recent about folks who they don't get it. Fear of robots taking over, absolutely on them. So how do you spot the problems before you approach a client on AI, right? How should you do it? Sorry, and this is, let me go back here. This is where I talk about 5 critical readiness signals. So I'm going to show you how these actually map to ADCAR, right? They're just some diagnostic questions that tell you whether you've actually built readiness at all 5 stages. Okay, we're going to go through these 5 stages. So the first one is leadership alignment. So do your leaders or the people you're talking to about AI, do they talk on people terms or do they talk about tech terms? And there's some red flags here and some green flags, right? That we're going to look for before deployment and that I use when I talk with a client, right? So we're going to go through them. So this first one, as we talked about, is leadership alignment. And this maps to the awareness in ADCAR, right? This sets the tone for how the organization is going to understand the change. So you get a green flag if leaders discuss AI in people terms. If they say, right, things like this tool will help process our customer requests 50%, giving you more time for complex cases, something like that, right? They make it about the people. They get a green flag. You get a red flag if you only talk about it in technology terms. So if they're just spitting off what they've learned on the internet, this is the latest machine learning model. It's going to be awesome. There's natural language processing. That's really cool that you understand your term, but your team have any idea how this is going to help them. So I'm going to tell you how you fix it. If you see a red flag, right? Train the leaders or the CEOs or the owners of the business to translate technology into people impact. Every AI feature should answer, how does this help my team do their job better? Okay, let's look at signal number two. Signal number two is communication clarity. And again, red flag is when you ask whether can you talk about AI and tools in one sentence? And if they're like, I don't know, my management told me I needed to do it. Again, wave the flag, red flag. Here's the green flags. They can do it. Matter of fact, they say, again, I'm going to use the case closing. It helps me close cases faster so I can focus on the hard stuff. It's very clear, it's very specific, and it's connected to their work. So how do you fix that red flag? Just test your messaging before you're ready to launch it, right? And we are claiming we're going to have big contracts with even with the government, all of my AI consultants out there. But just ask people on the team, do you know why AI is needed? And pause. And if they can't answer clearly, your communication failed, right? And you got to clarify. Your message should be so simple that a new hire on their team could repeat it, just like that. So that's how you fix it. Go over your messaging. And then what about pain points, right? This maps to the desire in ADCAR. People need to want to change, as we talked before. And so the question is, was this AI solution chosen or this tool to solve specific documented problem? And the red flag is, well, we saw it in a magazine. Oh, this is a good one. My competitors are doing it. I need to do it, right? There's no documented pain, no team input. It's a solution looking for a problem, all right? And when you deploy a solution to a problem, nobody feels it, nobody's going to use it. But where's the green flag? The green flag, and they say, oh, yeah, we know. It takes us 4 hours, per case to do this. And if we use AI, it is going to be quicker and faster for us. But don't worry if you see a red flag here, just go back and document the pain, ask them about any specific complaints or where are their pain points, just like I did with the electrician. Easy fix there. Okay, let's go to signal number 4. How have you mapped this tool to your existing workflows, right? Another really great question, and this maps to the ability in ADCAR. People need to know how it fits, again, into their actual work. So the question is like, how have you mapped this AI tool integration into what you do every day? You know, the red flag is when you hear it's just, oh, we'll train them. We just need to get you in there and they'll figure it out, right? There's no workflow map. There's no process documentation, just a bunch of hope, right? Because it's the latest thing. But the green flag here is this. Yeah, we know. We currently do steps 1, 2, and 3. Then with AI, we'll do 1 and we'll skip to 3. That's how you know when someone's onto something. But there's the fixes. If they're not and they're unclear, just map it out again, draw it out, their current workflow, the new workflow. I mean, really put it side by side. Show your team exactly what changes and what doesn't. I like to say make integration visual and concrete. Okay, so let's go move on to the last one here. And then I want to show you guys something. Sustainability plan. And this maps to reinforcement in ADCAR. You need a plan. What happens after launch, right? Just ask them, what's your post-deployment support plan? A red flag is easy, right? If they just say, oh, we're going to do 1 training session and then, we're going to have people go to the website. No, right? Launch day is going to happen. There's going to be no follow-ups, no check-ins, no support. Within 30 days, people are just going to revert to old habits. And then the AI tool that they spend a lot of money on becomes shelfware. But the green flag is you can help them with this. You can give them a 90-day adoption plan. You can have them actually schedule daily, weekend, and check-in, talk about quick wins. I know we do that a lot, right, in our consulting community. Make sure they have a plan for reinforcement, that they have measures of success, that there's someone to coach them, and even course correction, right? So just build a 90-day plan now. Schedule the check-ins, show them how to celebrate early wins. And I just want to pause here to just really stress this point. Reinforcement isn't optional. It's the difference between temporary compliance and lasting change. All right, it's not optional. So that's signal 5. And those are your 5 signals, right? Those are your 5 signals to easily see if someone is ready or not. But here's where it gets very interesting. So I took the 5 signal audit that we just went through together. It's the exact framework here, and I built an automated version using AI. So normally back in the day, and I've had to revert, you always need to have, different ways of doing things, but the PDF works. You could just make a beautiful PDF, 20 to 30 minutes to complete it. If you go over with your clients, you can score it, and then you can reference the guide. But the automated version, 2 to 3 minutes, instant scoring, color-coded results, and then you get specific recommendations based on your score. All right. So let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to share my screen. Let's click on here. Hopefully it pulls up. So this is the 5 signal AI change readiness audit, right? So we're going to start this assessment. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So if we start the assessment here, same thing, right? You go through the questions. Let's say that the leadership is they're pretty aware, right? They understand the roles. You give them a green flag. Communication clarity, you have to be clear. You get some vague responses. A lot of people think, I'm just going to do it because I thought so. We're going to give them sort of a red flag. All right. Pain points, another red flag, right? They just think it's the latest trend. And yes, I'm going to give you guys the link in the QR in the chat. Hold on one moment here. Okay. So the workflow integrations, they've mapped it out. They've started doing that, right? There's some existing workflows. I mean, you can literally take this on your phone when you sit down to the clients and, just be, when they talk, punch in and see how ready they are. And then we talked about sustainability plan. What happens after initial deployment? All right. I'm going to say, they're very hopeful. Good luck. So what happens if you calculate your readiness score? Oh, I didn't answer. I skipped the question here. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, how was your AI solution selected? I'm going to give them green for that. Maybe they have some specific business problem. So then we're ready to calculate the score. Voila. It's right there on the screen. 3 to 5 green flags. What does that mean? Proceed with caution, right? You got to be careful. They have some readiness, but there's some gaps. So if you just move forward and you just blah, right, it's going to carry some risk. And the recommendation here is simply don't deploy, not forever, but yet. And that you should address each red flag systematically and build in some change readiness before investing in technology rollout, right? And again, you can, if you forget, it's here, it's color-coded, it's here for you. So that's the 5 signal audit, mini audit. It's much longer than that, but I just wanted to give you guys a sense of how you can have the same framework, the same signals, just faster and more accessible, right? Very easy. And here's what makes it powerful. Building that tool from framework to fully working assessment took me 15 minutes. So I just wrote one clear prompt describing the signals, the scoring, and the outputs, and I gave it to Lovable. And Lovable is an AI tool, right, to help you build apps and even slides. And it just built the application. There was no coding requirement. I don't do coding at all. So anybody can do it if you're on this call. You just need clarity. That's all you need. You need to know what outcome you want. And that's what bridging technology and change management looks like, right? So you can print a PDF, like I said, and it works, but the tool works faster, smarter, and it gives immediate insight. And again, here's the critical takeaway. I like to pause and make sure we have some critical takeaways here. The tool is only valuable if the people work is done first, right? I want you guys to hear that. It's only valuable. So in reality, when you saw that 2 out of 5 problem, did the tool create that problem? No, right? The technology just amplifies readiness. It doesn't create it. So readiness plus AI smart tools equals successful adoption. And we want clients and folks to say, hey, this work is lasting when you go back to them 3 months, from the time that you talk about it. You want them to invite you back because it's lasting. So that's what you can do at the power of AI. So now I'm going to, and absolutely, you are welcome, Deb. Talk about the Clarity Bridge framework. So the mini audit is part of a larger audit. And here are some steps for success for AI deployment. So I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I want to show you the before, the during, and the after. So before deployment, again, we talked about assess readiness. You can use that 5 signal readiness tool. Fix the gaps and you build awareness and buy-in. During the deployment, right, when folks are really in it, make sure they execute that integrated workflow plan that we talked about. Make sure your leadership is still aligned and ensure that clear communication is throughout. After deployment, we don't skip this step, right? Employ a 90-day reinforcement plan. You measure adoption and then course correct as needed. But again, whether you're using PDFs or Excel sheets or automated tools, the principle is the same. Assess readiness before you deploy. That's what separates that 20% success rate from the 80% that fail. So I'm launching a complete system in 2026. In January 2026, it's a complete comprehensive kit to ensure AI adoption success, right? Before you talk to your clients. But before I show you that, I'm going to bring you full circle and talk a little bit. So we talked a lot about what we've covered today, right? So the 80% failure rate is real. The RAND Corporation research, it backs us up with that. Not because of technology, again, because of the people. And then we talked about the 72-hour AI implementation gap. And this is where organizations lose, whether you're small, whether you're in the middle, or you're big, right? They compress the planning into days when you actually need weeks to assess change readiness. ADKAR is the foundation, right? You can use that. I'm just giving you some of my CM knowledge here. Awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement. Don't skip those stages. And so we talked about the 5 signals, right? To predict success or failure. That's what those signals were for. Leadership alignment, communication clarity, pain point ownership, workflow integration, sustainability plan. Remember, we had our red flags and our green flags. I mean, have a mental note as you're doing that and stop and fix it. I gave you some areas to fix it. And I gave you all the peek here at the Clarity Bridge framework where we connect tech deployment from the beginning all the way to successful adoption. It's a structured process that most organizations skip, and I don't want you guys to skip that. So now that you have the framework, what do you do next? That's always my question, right? So I had 3 options for you. Well, before I get there, let me just back up because yeah. So the 3 option is tier 1, right? You can start today. You can download. I have actually 2 free tools. So I don't know if they post that in the chat, but the first one is the 5 signal mini audit. You can do that. And then I also threw in a stakeholder identification template, right? Because that's a tool that you need to know who are your supporters. Are there folks that you're going to run in a wall with? Are there detractors? Are there people that you should know about, right? You need to know all of that before you talk to a team of people. It's very important. It's helped me out many a day knowing who's in the room. Always make sure you read the room. So there's that stakeholder identification template. You can use the PDFs. So use these both with your next AI deployment, run the audit, map your stakeholders, see where you have the gap. These tools alone will put you 80% of most organizations. And then if you're planning to go deeper in AI deployment in Q1 2026, beginning of the year, you want to, and you don't want, make sure that you don't want to make sure you don't want, nobody wants to be in an 80% failure rate. You can please book a complimentary 30-minute clarity call with me. We're going to review your readiness using the 5 signals. I'll help you identify some of your biggest barriers, map your stakeholders, and then create a high-level roadmap. So there's no sales pitch, just strategy, and you'll walk away with a clear action plan, okay? There's limited slots for that, but please get on my plan. But I want to talk to you guys about all about the complete Clarity Bridge system, I called it. And this is when you're ready, you're serious, right? And you're ready to get down to business. Again, this launches January 15th. There's an early bird wait list where you can save some dollars. And I'm going to be transparent about the investment here because I want you all to make an informed decision, right? The regular price when we launch will be $697. But if you join the wait list today, you lock in the early price of $397. So that's a $300 savings. So what do you get for that investment? So glad you asked, right? So everything I showed you today is just the tip of the iceberg, but it's automated and expanded. So there's a full assessment suite, like the mini audit I just demonstrated. It's actually about 20 questions, right? And then you saw how that turns a manual process into a 2-minute automated one. So you get that plus 4 other assessment tools. You also get implementation tools. There's stakeholder mapping automation. There's a 90-day roadmap generator. You get weekly check-in templates that you can give your team. Resistant management playbooks, very important. So everything you would need to actually implement the framework and not just understand it, right? You'll have a full system. There's also a video implementation guide. There's 6 modules that's going to walk you through every step, just in case you're a visual learner, auditory learner. I will have some monthly live office hours where you can ask questions and a lifetime access to all these tools with update. So again, by joining today, you get the $397 price instead of $697. That's just by putting yourself on the wait list. And as a bonus, I'm going to give a 1-hour implementation kickoff call with me personally to help you customize the framework for your specific situation, right? Everybody's workplace environment is different, right? And here's the important part. Joining the waitlist requires no payment today, zero. You're just reserving your spot and locking in that $300 discount. Okay. And then what'll happen is on January 10th, I'll send you a payment link. At that point, you can decide, yes, I want this, or no, I'll pass. No pressure. There is no obligation. But if you wait till after the public launch, the price goes to $697. And really, frankly, I'm limiting the early bird access to the first 50 people because I want to give that first cohort some personalized attention. So if you're planning an AI deployment in Q1, or if you consult on AI adoption and want those tools for your practice, and again, this can really go for any transformation or modernization efforts that you could be working on with different teams, join the wait list. There's a link in the chat. There's no payment today. I think they've put it in, but if you haven't been able to grab the links, here are some QR codes right on the screen for that mini audit, and then the stakeholder identification template, which you can use immediately. I would encourage you to do that. I will let you all know for the QR, this is a bit.ly link. So it's going to redirect you in about 5 seconds if you scan the QR code. Okay, so those are the gifts there. And then the Clarity Bridge framework, the complete system, join the wait list, and you get the $300 off, right? So those are the 3 tiers I have for you today. Pick the one that fits where you are. But whatever you choose, remember this. AI adoption is not a technology problem, okay? Don't let anyone tell you. It's a people problem. And if you skip the people work, you join the 80%. If you do the people work first, you join the 20% that succeed. The choice is really yours. All right. And I'd love to connect with you all. I'm on LinkedIn. You can scan that right there. Also, there's the link to the Clarity Strategy Call if you'd like that to do as well. So I want to thank you all for being here today, and I'm happy to take any questions.
All right. If you have a question, raise your hand and we will pull you up.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Or if you want to drop a question in the chat, happy to do that as well. I see Sharita has a question.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Sharita.
Hey, how are you? Hey, question. So me and you, I got my ProSci change management practitioner certification as well.
Mhm.
And me and you are probably on the same page as what we're doing with AI.
Okay.
So my question to you is, I think where I'm kind of stuck with mine because I keep thinking about implementation and I'm not trying to implement any tools with the company. So what
Mhm.
you're doing is really just giving them information, right, as to how they can bring in AI tools. Is that right?
That is correct. So first we have to understand what their pain points are, right? To even know what AI to offer.
Yeah.
That's where I would go, right? Depending on their pain point, then I would suggest a tool. And then I would go, if it was me talking to the client, I would, do a presentation to them on how that tool can answer their pain point.
Got it.
That
Thank
makes
you so
sense?
much.
Sure. Anyone else? I want you all to be change ready. It's so important. There's going to be a lot of changes coming up in 2026. As we know, new year, lots of changes. Make sure you are change ready and use AI smartly. Ms. Key Erica.
Hi, Shantelle. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I wanted to know, we recently got some new software this week that we're rolling out, and you mentioned the term detractor. How do you differentiate if you are a supporter and a detractor for your team? If you're like one who's really using it, but you're asking a lot of questions, how do you help to make sure that you're not being the person that's making it seem like too much because you're asking questions, but you are trying to be that person that's trying to be the supporter or the champion?
Okay, let me make sure I understand, Kiarka. So we want to know how to reel in the detractors, or
Yes, yes.
yeah. So I'll tell you a little trick that I use. So I actually I like to hit the detractors head on. I would sit down and talk to them, right? And then bring them onto my side. So I'm going to hear them out because a lot of times they may some information maybe they don't know or don't understand how it's really going to work. And then you know what's really good about them, especially if they're loud, you can make them your supporters. So I really sit down and try to address their pain points, and hear and see if I can solve those. Or the other thing I always preach, take people along with you and say, you know what, why don't you come with me, at the next meeting, or let's have a group meeting to talk about this, right? Particularly if they're vocal and they want to express their opinions anyway. And so those are two tactics that I use. Either try to make them your supporter, but definitely from the very beginning, understand where they're coming from, their pain points, trying to what the opposition is, and then try to turn that around if you can. Sometimes you can't, but a lot of times, if you just listen to people, people want to be heard and hear them out. But and then the last part, I think, of what you were saying, I think asking questions is healthy, right? If you're one of those questions, particularly if you want the tool to be used and be effective for you, I think it's really healthy to ask questions. So you want to encourage an environment as well where, I love people asking questions. Does
Gotcha.
that help,
Thank
Karen?
you.
Yeah,
Yep, yep. Thank you.
absolutely. Any other questions or thoughts folks have? I hope this was helpful as we're turning the corner into the new year. Tolu, is that how you pronounce that?
Yep, you got it right. Can you hear me
Right.
okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this. This was really enlightening. My question was, so after the change management process,
Mhm.
do you then work with your clients to actually do additional AI implementations, or do you typically maybe refer implementations to somebody else who specializes in that? Or do you see the process from start to finish? That's part one. And
Mhm.
then part two is, do you have a general sense of the size of companies where it makes sense to go through the thorough change management process versus maybe you have a small business with, three people as an example? Like, at what point do you think it makes sense to go through the formal process versus maybe doing something just very high level?
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the question, Tolu. I will ask you, this is a timely question because I just talked to a client on yesterday, actually. He's solo, right? So of course I wouldn't make a solo entrepreneur sit down and do some, laborious, rigorous checklist, but you can have the conversation with them. So I started out the question, just to make sure we're on the same page, I want to understand, what your need is for AI, right? It's a very simple question. I had those 5 signals in the back of my mind. So no, I wouldn't do a rigorous one, but I would make sure that I walk through the same for whether you're solo, whether you're a small to mid company, but you just have to, you don't want to overwhelm folks. You just need to proportion it to the level where they are and right, meet people where they are. So that's what I would do. And that's very timely. I just did that on yesterday. And then Tolu, what was the first question again? Want to make sure I answered that part as well.
Yeah, sorry. The first question was, do you handle everything end to end from
Yeah.
change management to actual
Mhm.
implementations?
It depends. That answer is it depends. I will tell you, I don't want to do everything. We talked about AI, the workflow automation. There are lots of very different areas that you can do. So no. So just with the client I was talking with yesterday, I did partner with another AI consultant for that venture. You should know the lane that you like to stay comfortable in and do that. So I am walking them through the whole thing, but I've partnered with another person on the part that I don't do, if you will. So I think it just depends where you're comfortable at, right? And so, regardless, I will make sure that I get you what you need. If I can, I want to refer you to somebody else, and then make sure your post deployment goes smoothly. That I will do. Does that help? Okay, awesome. All right, I'm glad you guys said that it was helpful. I appreciate that. Any other quick questions or thoughts? All right, I don't see any other questions in the chat or hands raised.
All right, everybody. Now that you had an opportunity to ask some questions, and it looks like she was so thorough with everything that was presented. Oh, wait a minute. We have a Miss Valerie needing some help. Let's get her question in before we definitely let's do that. Miss Valerie, let's unmute you real quick.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Valerie.
I just recently started studying AI technology about a month and a half,
Mhm.
and I'm in love.
Okay, me too.
What I've been doing is talking to parents, teaching them about etymology through um, realistic animation.
Mhm.
And I would like to know how, because I must have came, I don't know how I got here because I clicked on to join Alicia, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm supposed to be here because this is the first time this ever happened to me. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it might
We're
sound a little
glad
crazy.
you're here. That's okay. We're glad you're here.
So I would like to know, how does your program help
Mhm.
someone that's just starting but excited? um I speak to children's and their parents about etymology, and I also um am focused on right now AI automation, three types of automation, and one
Mhm.
is content creation.
Okay, so Miss Bobby, let me make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, I
I
know
know you're,
I'm
are
in place.
you, no, no, it's fine. Are you in Alicia's AI consulting program?
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Okay.
not.
Right.
I
So yeah, definitely check that out. Absolutely, that's a big help. She walks you through all the different areas. So that's a good place to start if you're interested in just learning, about different things in the AI world. I know you say you're just starting out. Um,
yeah, that's not it. I have, in a month and a half, and I didn't realize it. I've created 608 posts because I post every day.
okay, that is
And I
awesome.
didn't know that until chat told me, because
Hmm.
I'm becoming kind of frustrated in a way,
Hmm.
because I know where I want to go, but I need to make money right now. I need to make fiat to invest in other things. So
Sure, sure.
yeah, so I'm
So,
here. Yeah.
hmm yeah. So today we were talking about how to, if you're approaching other clients, right, which you may do, right? I think that's what I hear you're saying. You definitely want to do that
Yeah,
for
I
them.
haven't, not at all. That's my
Okay.
intent.
Right, right. Yeah. So with your intent on doing this, when you approach them, I was giving you a way, some different signals and questions to ask them so that you can know which tool, right, to offer them, right? That you're going in
Right.
understanding their needs. And then if not, you would find someone you would partner with. So I was sort of trying to arm you with those resources, if you will. And what we can do, if you want to schedule a call with me, a clarity call, I can see, if there's something specific you have in mind, any barriers, but I don't know if that would be helpful for you. I'm happy to jump on a call.
Okay, yeah. I don't know, I might sound confusing, but my goal is teaching parents etymology for their
Sure.
children because I have spoken to a lot of people, and this has been on my heart for a long time.
Mhm.
And the words that they use, like the word smart or the word God, why is everything is leaving me right now? Um, the word black. Um,
It's a
oh,
lost art, right? It's a lost art, something
yeah,
that folks don't know how to do. I agree with you. There's a lot of things that we need to go back to, right? But
yeah.
in particular to teach the kids for sure. So I think it's a
And that's
great thing
another
that you're
word
doing.
too. Kids. They're not kids. Kids, that's a billy goat. So that is my goal is for children to learn etymology so when they are come across a contract, they know exactly what the author is saying.
Mhm.
There's no hidden meanings. They know because of etymology.
Yeah, well, once you do your research with that, right? I'm sure there's some, there are some AI tools like Lovable, the one I
Yeah,
use today, right? You can put that in. I'm not sure if you use Lovable, and then you can
yeah,
make that something that they can have at the ready,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Lovable is good. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Anyone else before Sarah closes us out? If not, I want to thank you all for your time today again. I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a
I
happy
do see
holiday.
a question in the chat by
Okay.
Anna Marie. She says the question is who will pay for that service? So Miss Anna Marie, is this question being posed to Miss Shantelle regarding the service, or are you referring to what Miss Valerie was just referencing? Let me find Miss Anna Marie. Are you available
Yes,
to?
hi. I was listening to the lady who wants to sell to parents. And
Mhm.
so the question that came, which is admirable, the question is who will pay for that service that she'd like to provide? That is the question. And so I would find it hard to believe that many parents would pay for that. But maybe there's a nonprofit that focuses on children that might hire her to do that.
So one thing for certain and two things for sure in this community, we often seek outside the box solutions. And with a lot of our AI tools, we have the ability to think about things that weren't privy to us just off the cuff with our own thinking. And based on how amazing and completely diverse this community is and the different resources available, you'd be surprised where the money would come from. A Lorette always likes to say, like that Field of Dreams movie, build it and they will come, right? So we're gonna put some good juju behind any and every project that is present here. Why? Because we believe that she's niched down to a degree where Miss Valerie sounded adamant about what her mission and her vision is. Something like that cannot be put asunder, right? It's gonna happen. It has to work or it has to work. From the sounds of it. So we are definitely going to put good juju, like I said, behind that, and the money will come wherever it needs to come from. She's going to put some energy out in the universe, and she's doing this for the good. So I believe that that's going to be a small thing to a giant, like we like to say, right? What do you think, Miss Chantal?
Absolutely. I absolutely concur. And I just want to encourage you, Valerie, to keep going. Keep going. Like you said, it is going to happen.
Be
And
surprised. The schools, the
that's right.
libraries, there's
Yeah.
money out there, and we're connected in this ecosystem with the queen of grants, that the grant experts. So there's ways and means. Alicia, Lorette have a foundation. Nehemiah Davis, who also is a huge impact in this community, has a foundation. Well, there's so many avenues of money, and it gets printed every day, right? What we don't have is time. So she needs to get on her bike and get connected with the right resources and the right people and lock arms, because that's just a transactional factor. Once she builds it, it will come. It will blow up. It will blow up. Miss Deb, do you have a question? I see a hand. Let me ask you to unmute. Is your camera on? No, your camera is on.
We see her.
No.
There it is. There it is. I just thank you, Sarah. I just want to piggyback off of what you just said. I don't remember the lady's name, but you are absolutely right. The money is there. It would be helpful if she got in touch with Coach K, because there's billions of dollars available in grant money, and that lady is very passionate about what she wants to do, and that's what grant people who companies, foundations that give grants, they want to know the impact that your idea, your product will make on a community or group. And I think, like you said, if she contacts the right people like Coach K in terms of grants, she'll be able to find some grant money. So thank you, Sarah, for supporting that.
Absolutely, Miss Deb. Thank you so much. And we appreciate your vote of confidence. That's what this community is about, honestly. We always encourage, we always protect, we always add fuel to the fire. When anybody says something listen, this is what I'm passionate about, this is what I'm working on, we put fuel on that fire because we align and we believe. Okay, just like our sister Shantelle here brought us some amazing information regarding her Clarity Works and the different frameworks she has available. She put a lot of thought and a lot of, you could tell how calm, like she's super calm, like super calm, super smooth, very classy. She's put a lot of work into this, and you can tell by her lack of frenzy, her lack of busyness. This was a very laid back, like at a coffee shop type, and you guys got firsthand experience. So I hope y'all took the opportunity to go in the chat. Please do so now if you haven't, before this room is closed out. We want to make sure that all of you have access. In the chat, there's her Clarity. We have the Clarity Bridge framework. There's a wait list. You already heard you get a huge discount because first for early adopter discount, and she doesn't have to do that. You guys see the value in what's happening right now. You sat through since 2 o'clock. You've been on this call getting value for free, right? And you see the value in it. I just recorded all your testimonials, so don't go backwards, right? I see that you saw that you love what she had to offer. And what I loved about you, sis, is the fact that, once again, I'm going to say it, you was just like, shh. Cool, calm, straight delivery. And that only happens when somebody is passionate and knows their craft, right? You know your stuff, and that's why you were able to deliver it with such excellence and such class. So please get on the wait list. And as she said, there's no deposit necessary in order to do that. She gave you some free tools as well. And if you decide to change your mind later about wanting to move forward with this, a no is a complete sentence, right? I just as classy as she was here, I'm sure she's going to be just as classy on the back end. Alicia and Lorette are very cautious as to who they introduce their audience to. Anybody who clicked on the link or registered for the Learning Tube, if you didn't know, this is where consultants get to come and just share their piece and add value to this community. You know, she's not getting paid to do this, right? This is something that she's a go-giver. And that's what this community is about. For those of you that don't know about Alicia Lorette's community, we did put in the chat, we did put the upcoming AI Business Summit in the chat. I went ahead and put that. Let me see. Join the AI Business Summit. So I'm going to put it there again. If you would like additional information as to how to get involved in this amazing community, Ms. Valerie, you sound like you're working on some big things. And I know there's a lot of other individuals in here that are working on some big things. And it's time to lock arms with movers and shakers like those that are in this community, right? So let's get that going. please sign up and get yourself registered. Don't forget to scan the QR code so you can get connected with Miss Shantelle when she drops other things. She's going to be communicating about that on her LinkedIn. There's a free 30-minute, like she's giving you more of her time for free. There's a 30-minute change readiness strategy call available. You got all those links. Adrian and everybody are posting those links. We appreciate your time. And for those that were questioning about when we spoke about the grant funds, Coach K is a phenomenal powerhouse leader who has her own community when it comes to grants and things of that nature. And she is highly, highly, like, her and Alicia are like this. And yeah, she often comes and does different things. And you probably will see her on the AI Business Summit this coming in January. We're going to have that mid-January. So definitely get connected. And Miss Shantelle, once again, I just want to thank you for coming on here and giving of your time, giving of your space, and making room for all of us to take part in what you have going on, and that's the beautiful part about this community is that there's no gatekeeping. Like, she just laid out the whole thing and you could go run the play yourself, right? She just gave you what you needed to run the play yourself. But why reinvent the wheel when she's already done it with such grace and such class? So we're giving you the opportunity to be a part of something amazing. And this new year is coming and we're taking 2026 by storm and we're doing it now. Right? We're not waiting till 2026. We're doing it now. So thank you so much, Ms. Shantelle, once again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. And for those who weren't here at the beginning of the call, please be advised that the Learning Tube, this is the last Learning Tube for the year, okay, of 2026. I'm sorry, of 2025. This is the last Learning Tube of the year. Nonetheless, January 8th of 2026, so the second Thursday in January, we'll be back with another phenomenal leader of our community who's willing to give y'all some amazing gems and game. And link up, and we thank you so much for being here, everybody, all 120 plus of you. Thank you so much for being present. For all the support team that's available, there's a lot of co-hosts and hosts and co-hosts. Listen, y'all doing y'all thing. Thank you so much for everybody who came, all the participants who were asking phenomenal questions, everybody who came to support Miss Shantelle, and everybody who always shows up. Vondell, thank you always for being a phenomenal leader as well within our community. Like, we have some amazing powerhouse givers and leaders within this community that just love to love on each other. And that's not something you find every day. So Miss Shantelle, thanks again for being one of those individuals. And we're going to close this out. If everybody would just put some love and put some hearts in there for Shantelle to feel the love. And please, if you enjoyed this, please connect with her on LinkedIn. Okay, y'all? We appreciate all of you. I hope everybody has a great day. And don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything that we can help you with in the community, okay? Thank you so much, everybody.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you.